Welcome to CKLA Lesson 4, Unit 5. Today, our learning targets are: I can find adjectives in sentences. I can read words with the OUS ending. So we'll talk about how that OUS ending helps us determine what they mean and kind of describe the word a little more. Now let's start with adjectives. What is an adjective? An adjective is a describing word. It describes a noun and tells you more descriptive words about a noun. Let's think of adjectives for each of these nouns. Think of a couple of adjectives to describe the flower. It's shiny, green, bright. Words that could describe the book. It's a pink book. It's a hardback book. The pencil. Is it dull? Is it sharp? A yellow pencil. The yellow pencil. The sparkly flower. The pink book. So it's helping the reader put a picture in their head. Now we're going to complete an activity that's an adjective hunt using a story that we have already read. So you don't have to get the story out, but the story is called The Beginning, and it was our Tuesday night's homework where we read the story and answered the questions. One of the sentences in the story was King Alfred was in charge of a large land that stretched from the dark forest of the north to the sea in the south. Now, before finding the adjectives in this sentence, you will need to find the nouns. So each adjective will have a noun that it will modify, that it will describe or tell about. So it's easiest to find your nouns first and then find your adjectives that describe them. Now, if you look at the story, your nouns would be King Alfred. Is there a word that describes King Alfred in this sentence? What about land? Land is a noun. Do you see an adjective or a describing word for land? Forest is a noun. Do you see a describing word for forest? Now your describing words are describing the words land and forest. What are your words that describe land? What is your adjective for land? It's large land, right? So this is not small land, it's a large land. Dark forest. So you can picture in your head what this would look like. Okay, see if you can find the adjectives in this sentence. So first look for the nouns, and then look for the describing words that are describing these nouns, these adjectives. So take just a minute to read it and see if you can find the adjectives. Your noun is soak. So if you're taking a soak, soak could be a verb too, like if you soak in the bathtub. But if you are taking a soak, this is a noun version of the word. What does soak describe? What word is describing soak? It's a long soak, right? So you could see someone, he liked to soak in the bathtub, a long soak. So he's going to spend a lot of time in that bathtub. Okay, read this sentence. He had a spear and a sword. How could you make this sentence more interesting with adjectives? Now, your nouns in the sentence are spear and sword. How could you describe spear and sword? You could use words like sharp pointed, long, diamond handled. Those words would help you to see those spears, to see those swords in your head. Now, you can look through your story titled The Beginning from Tuesday. Look for adjectives in your story. If you have a highlighter at home, go through and highlight adjectives in your story. Now we're going to look at some adjectives that have a special suffix OUS. We know that OU can sound like O or U, or it can say When OUS occurs at the end of a word, it is sounded as us. So this word, the word is related to the word fame. So it describes a person who is well known by many other people, such as a musician, actor, or athlete. So fame is basically what you have when you're really well known. Somebody you'd see on TV has fame. So you can change that word to an adjective by adding OUS to it. So that word becomes famous. Can you think of other adjectives in the suffix OUS or with the suffix OUS? Let's read some OUS words and name some nouns that pair with the words. Monstrous. This is related to the word monster. So you think about a monster, and if you were describing a monster, monstrous would help the reader to see a frightful, revolting something, someone. So monstrous. Disastrous. This is related to disaster. So if you know the word disaster could mean a big, unfortunate event. Disastrous would mean most unfortunate. So if it's disastrous, it's absolutely horribly bad. Disastrous. Nervous is related to nerves. So your nerves, you think about your nerves being shot. If you were walking into school for the first day, your nerves are a little off. You are nervous. You are uneasy, excitable, and tense. Now, chivalrous is related to chivalry. Considerate, loyal, or polite. Chivalry, you think about someone that is a king or a queen, someone who has upper ranking status. And if you are chivalrous, you are loyal to them. You are showing the respect the way it needs to be shown. Enormous, very big. If something is enormous, it's beyond huge. Generous. Now, this is the act of giving, very giving, a large amount. Boisterous. Now, the last few words that we have, you're not really making them into, you're not having a root word with these. Boisterous means noisy and rough. So if you were boisterous, you would be able to see this person, kind of a rowdy person. Hideous. Now see, if you broke this one apart and tried to use this as a base word, it wouldn't work, because this is not talking about the word hide. Hideous is horrible. Jealous, resentful, and wishing to have someone else's possessions. Now let's look over our learning targets for today. I can find adjectives in sentences, and I can read words with the OUS ending. So we talked about how those words can be used as adjectives, how we can kind of use them in some of our OUS words, use that root word or base word to help determine the meaning of that bigger word or adjective with an OUS ending. Now, be sure and study for your spelling test tomorrow. Your words are ending in a Y. So they're going to say E at the end, and make sure that you study your LY words that end in ly, and your Y words, the words that end in Y, and they're going to say E at the end of them. So be sure and study for that spelling test. Have a great day.